Well, it started when we moved. We moved not only to a different school zone, we moved to an entirely different school district. We'd put 3 kids through our old school district and knew how things worked, and the kids got along just fine. Once we moved into this new school district, then it's just like all learning stopped, and we couldn't figure out what was going on because our youngest had gone from, being in the top quarter to the bottom quarter, just going from first to second grade in this new school district. And we couldn't figure out what was going on, and when they started learning sight words, which is a phrase I had never even heard of before. Now, we'd put 2 other kids through our old school district, and I had never heard sight words from them. I mean, they taught them how to read, but this new school district was all about sight words, which are words that children are supposed to be able to recognize on sight. They don't have to sound out the word. They see THE, they know it's the. They don't have to go And, okay, that makes sense. But every day she's being sent home with these flashcards we're supposed to be testing her on. And she hates flashcards. We hate flashcards. I don't know anyone that enjoys flashcards. And we knew, once they got into the times table and trying to tell time, the flashcards were just going to get worse and worse. And so that's when we had the idea, well, okay, half the time when we do game night, she wants to play Go Fish because she just loves that game. Go Fish is basically just a game where you make matches. You have 2 cards that are the same, and you go around asking other players for the card you're looking for. So then we thought, okay, well, since we're trying to tackle these sight words, how about if we make a Go Fish game with sight words? Then that way she'll practice the sight words. The more she does it, the faster she'll be able to pronounce the words, and then eventually she'll be able to recognize the words on sight. So we just got some blank index cards, chopped them up, started writing down her sight words, and didn't touch the flashcards. And then she started learning them, basically as fast as we could make them. And so then from there, we're like, okay, that makes sense. So how about coins? Because she's been struggling with coins, and kids aren't really, exposed to coins anymore. But it's still something they need to learn. So we did the same thing. We drew little pictures of coins on cards and started playing Go Fish that way. It didn't necessarily help her recognize, that this is a quarter, this is a dime, because they were just pictures on paper. But, if she saw 2 quarters and she knew it was 50 cents. And that's really when we said, okay, I think we're on to something. And so from there we said, all right, telling time, that's something that all of our kids have struggled with. We still have analog clocks around. And so we started doing it with the clocks, and we knew we were on to something. So then once we decided that this was something that we wanted to try and that we thought would work well, then the problem was, how are we going to create all of these different cards? There's, new sight words to learn every week. Pretty soon they'll be getting into memorizing the multiplication table. I've got no design or artistic ability whatsoever. My wife is a good artist, but she can't, spend all of her time just making up go fish cards. So, fortunately, I am a computer programmer and I do know how to write computer programs. So, what I did is I just wrote a simple program that would let me type in what her sight words were for the week, and then it would print them out on the cards, and we just snip, 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 and so it made it a lot easier. So once we thought we were actually onto something, what I did is I wrote a program. I'm a computer programmer, and all it would do is I would type in her words for the week, and then it would print them out on a piece of paper, and then that way we could cut them out and play a quick game of Go Fish to help her practice. I had it do the cameras backwards. It written out all lowercase, called. That's left to right. I don't know if it shows left to right on the screen. But then I also had it print uppercase here, because when you hold a typical deck of cards, you can only see the left-hand side. And so we tried that for a couple of weeks, and we had some pretty good success. So then I decided, okay, well, let's, do some cards with clocks on them. This is one of my early clock ones. I basically just picked a random number and put 2 random lines on it. This did not go over very well because it was too difficult. There's no numbers on it anywhere. And this is what the flashcards she normally gets would look like. And she'd sit there and she'd count the lines and, try and figure out what time it is, and we couldn't do anything with it because it wasn't fun. The entire premise behind this is that if it's not fun, it's probably not going to work. The catchphrase, I guess, we came up with is fun equals repetition, repetition equals retention. Well, it's true. If you sit in front of a kid with flashcards, they're not going to want to keep doing that. They're not going to say, "Mommy, let's do flashcards again, yay." They will say, "Oh, let's play a game of Go Fish," And so we started making the cards easier and easier, and eventually that's when one of our neighbors, said, "Well, okay, yeah, now you're teaching instead of testing," because, and the way they explained it made 100% sense, and I don't know why I never thought of it. This isn't teaching how to tell time. This is testing how to tell time. What we ended up with, that's teaching how to tell time. It's showing them all of the positions of all the numbers and the hands, and so they're teaching them that is, again, the screen's backward, I'm sorry. It's 155. We're teaching, not testing. And I honestly believe that's what our problem was with this new school district. The school district wasn't teaching subjects, they were teaching tests. It wasn't, 1 plus 3 equals 4 because blah, blah, blah. It was, what's 1 plus 3? No, that's wrong. The answer is 4. Their methodology of teaching is just testing until they finally remember the right answer. And I think that is really where we hit gold with these Go Fish cards. So these are a couple of prototype decks that we've made, and I'll show you how we did those later. But this is where we're at right now. And so if you look at this card, this is from Telling Time. So it is 10:35 in this card, and you can see we've got the hands, and then we've got both the hours and the minutes, because we're not trying to test them, we're trying to teach them. All of the information that they need to answer or to ask another player is right there. They just need to figure out how to look at the hands, realize, okay, the little one, that's the hour hand, that means it's the 10, the part in front. The long hand is the minute hand, and then going through that, after repetition, eventually they'll be able to look at the hands and know what time it is without looking at the numbers and parsing them down. For the sight words, they were just plain boring before, so we started adding drawings to them, because, you know, kids for elementary school, they're going to be looking at picture books. They're going to be used to seeing pretty pictures of things when they're reading. And so if they don't know the word "the," they can say, "The cat is here." Okay, they may recognize that more so than just seeing the word by itself. And then, of course, we've got a little kitty cat there. He is part of a team. And we got more time cards, so it's 3:45 in this one. And you can see the little red dots, so it shows them that the hour hand hasn't reached 4 yet, which means it's still 3 something. And I'm going to skip over the coin cards because I am not happy with them. Somehow I'll figure out how to get this good, but I haven't figured that out yet. We're on like the 4th iteration of the sight words and the Telling Time. Those are what I've been focused on so far. Let me go ahead and talk about the cards themselves. They are probably going to be this size, which is 90% the size of a normal card. These come out to, I think, 2 1/4 by 3 3/8 or something, instead of 2 1/2 by 3 1/2, which is a normal poker deck. And you can see they're not that much different. They're large enough that adults can hold them, but with our testing with my daughter and her friends, the smaller size works a lot better for the 7, 8, 9-year-olds that we've been testing with. As far as the paper is concerned, we're still getting samples of different types of paper. This is a double-coated linen finish. It's 230 GSM, I believe. And, you know, it doesn't crease. It's so far it's been holding up good with playing, and it's definitely not as thick as traditional playing card paper. We're going to test some of that when it comes in, but this is also, using this paper at this size, my daughter can finally shuffle a deck of cards. She's never been able to shuffle a traditional set of cards before. So we are probably going to stick with this size and this paper, but again, I can't guarantee that. And if our dreams come true, since I'm a computer programmer and we're going to be doing all of this stuff dynamically, Hopefully backers will be able to choose what paper they want in addition to what size they want.